Fortunately, my game is kind of authenticity, so I just show up.
See, I told you don't say anything you don't want recorded. Now, I gotta hype you. Don't make a big deal of it. All right, we're back with another episode. First, the sponsors. I want to thank a few of them today, especially Right On Optics, Sig Sauer, Gallo Technologies, Rhino Metals, Blackwater Ammunition, Inforce Weapon Lights, Breakthrough Clean, and of course, Pulsar. Thermal imaging technology is coming down in price, guys. Go buy a thermal. Be smart. Don't go out hunting in the day. Go at night. It's easier. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone. Please leave reviews, like and subscribe, everything. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Please send your questions. Everything's going to be a really good episode. I'm excited to talk to this guy and get into this a little bit. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. He's an entrepreneur. He's a real man. He's a badass. Everything. He's a veteran. We get the one and only Byron Rodgers. There he is.
Boom. What's up, you guys, man?
Hey, listen, he's handsome in person, guys. I'm telling you, this guy gets it done. What's going on?
Man, I'm living the dream, man.
Seems like it took forever for us to connect, right?
It did. It did.
Feel like it.
It was organic, though, when it happened. It was just like, boom, you know?
Once you get people don't realize this. I have people ask this all the time. They say, how do I get on this show? I say, just get a referral. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, you're an asshole. I'm like, would you let someone in your house if you didn't know them?
Yeah.
You know, it's like really simple.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So
Excited.
Tony was the homie, man. Tony was the hookup. So that's an honor because Tony's awesome, man. He was fantastic.
He's a trip. He's a crypto genius now. If you want crypto tips, guys, if you're looking for crypto or stock tips, please go subscribe to Real World Tactical. Go check out that page. He's offering all kinds of insight. Yeah, he's gonna get blown up. The thing is that's crazy is I watched a little bit of what you were doing, and you go in and out of people, you see kind of what they're up to, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's doing like these symposiums and he's doing this stuff. But then when I took a little bit of a deeper look at your model, it was really exciting to peel apart the layers. I mean, you had a lot of good stuff going on. Tell me about the one you did recently that Tony was at, and a little bit about what you're doing.
So the Protector Symposium essentially is, it's really, so not everyone has all the time in the world to go to the dojo, go to the range, spend, all that, like 10 years becoming a black belt and stuff like that. The Protector Symposium is designed to help good people become more dangerous. We want to make
capable.
Yes, we want the world to be a safer place, with more good people being a little bit more dangerous, more willing, capable, and prepared. So I was sitting there thinking like, well, how can I achieve this? And I found that a lot of people don't have as much value for the soft skills, so they think like, oh, I'm going to get this gun. And once I get this gun, I'm going to be safe.
I'm fine.
And I'm going to learn this one martial art or whatever it is.
My Uncle Mike's holster.
Yeah, exactly. And they got their cheat code for it and they think they're done. And what I've learned being a professional protector and, protecting the 1% of the 1% around the world for the last over a decade is a pattern of life, man. So much of it's about the soft skills. So I was kind of like, well, geez, man, I'll have this awesome event all about like how to execute on a safe pattern of life and soft skills and stuff. And it's just not sexy enough, right?
Right. It's not. Yeah. Not we were talking about this.
Right. Yeah. So I with this kind of the formula I came up with was, okay, fine, let me create an event. Let me get the guys that are of the pedigree, that have done it, that have been there. Let me have something where I can still teach the soft skills to the demographic, but then also we can hit them with the hard skills. So it's a 1-2 punch. So in 72 hours, you get a full day of like a 12-hour day. Like we go long, we go hard. And you learn from every single one of the subject matter experts why they believe in what they believe in, and a great bit about, what soft skills can you integrate in your life to live a safer life? If you're a 100-pound human being, you're not as physically potent as like me or a Tony. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do to be safe? Well, it turns out there's so much you can do. You don't have the time to become, a ninja or a Viking or anything like that, but you can literally learn how to live a safer pattern of life. Then we take you to the range, and then personal protection's about the person. Self-defense is about the self, and then I show you like, hey, these are the arts. This is when maybe you should implement them based on your physical potency. So you get that 1-2 punch. It's immersive, and you usually get about 5, 6, sometimes 7 of some of the best instructors in the game. Man, it's awesome.
You've had some great ones on there. You mentioned Ed's Manifesto earlier. I know everybody's a big fan of Ed. Tony Seminat, Real World Tactical, as he's known on IG, and Luch. And as an NFT coach, I think he goes by Wolf, the Wolf of Miami.
I love it. Yo, he knows his stuff, man. We were talking for a good 30 minutes. We were all him and we're
the Wolf of Miami. I just made that up.
It's pretty good. It's awesome, actually.
What I liked about it, Byron, and if I may, and it's one small piece of your puzzle, but what I liked about it was I saw a model. Mm-hmm. And I saw also development, and it wasn't about selling mugs and T-shirts, right? It was about selling actual knowledge and putting what I felt was a good collection of people in the room, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, well, you got like the eagle, like that. You got the helicopter view on it because you've been in the game the way you've been for so long. So yeah, that was another equation I had to figure out how. The
formula, you got to make the recipe.
Exactly, man. So it was kind of like, well, we could run a training event. But how can I bring the maximum amount of value and not just one instructor to the demographic? And then how can I make it profitable for everybody involved, the sponsors, the sponsors, the instructors, and then the industry. And then the other thing is like, the reality of this game is a lot of the instructors are handshake guys. Like they would train you for free if they could like live by training you for free.
Yeah.
So their prices and the value people are getting from these people for what they're paying for often is just like, and then the civilians, they don't really know, like they don't really value it. So I'm like, we need to raise the bar in the industry overall for what people are paying for.
We talked about this,
So I can have good guys, have long careers, being trainers, and we can all learn and get better from them for a much longer period of time. There's got to be money in training in order for us to really, impact and have the right people in the game. The smart people, the smart people in the game.
Right.
Some of them are like, look at it and they're like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to start this huge business and do something else. So that was a formula I had to really break down.
Yeah, understanding how to build the proper model is a real trick, and I think a lot of people struggle with it more than they let on. And I mean, they reach out to me, and I know they reach out to you now at the Protector Symposium. I get asked a different line of questioning, which is more, how do I build my brand? How do I connect with this brand? Yeah. How does that work? What's the best method? And I tell guys all the time, you have to be more organized than the most organized person in this business, whoever that is. Okay. I said, because you have to get to a place where you're selling something. What are you selling?
Right.
A lot of people think they're selling shoot fast drills. A lot of people think they're selling, and they're not. At the end of the day, we talked about this offline. You have to have a product that goes with your brand, and that product has to be rich and add value. Right. And if it adds value on a cerebral level as well as a physical one, because it's not just about the physical, people are going to be more in line. That's why I mentioned to you a couple of the suggestions I mentioned, which was getting into some of the brand development stuff, which I think would be really critical. And I think getting into some of either the relationship stuff and maybe even bringing in a victim story, something along those lines would be really good stuff. Man.
That's some stuff I'm trying to.
I've done this a time or two.
You've been around the block.
I've been around.
I know. No, I dig it, man. And even when I do those like tactical protection reviews on my website, I'm always like, yo, if you guys know the person in this video, let me know. I'd love to talk with them and make some content. But that victim aspect is huge because I want to connect with the people who are out there, that aren't like, guys like us that have spent years in dojos and on the, out in the range.
Sure.
Because those are the people that are going to probably be there to bring more on-scene accountability. But yeah, man, so it's been amazing working with all the great dudes that we've worked with, bringing a product to the game I'm really, really excited about that improves the game because it does help other instructors out there do what they want to do.
I wanted to ask you, it's a curious question. We kind of touched on it out there.
Yeah, man.
I wonder why guys like you aren't on Fox News and guys like you aren't on these larger audience type platforms, right? It's not a place for a guy like me, but I wonder why guys like you aren't on there because you have the background, you're a veteran, you're teaching, you're out there doing EP work. You can talk about all these different topics and you actually have some understanding of weapon systems and everything else. Why do the national media go to people like Collion, people like Dana Loesch, and they don't come to guys like you because your money's affected by the business? We were talking about this a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Admittedly, I've had my head down creating these things, just hammering between my EP school and this and just contracts. Dude, contracts, the executive protection industry is exploding. So I haven't gone after them yet, So maybe that has something to do with it, but it's a great point, man. There's a lot that I could offer from the real world,
Right.
experiential side that I think would be just awesome, for people to hear and get a taste of.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because I see so many great folks come through this studio even that are in the business. And I'm saying to myself, like, it should be you up there. Instead, they get people that just recite talking points and they don't really have actual knowledge of the industry, which is very bizarre to me. It's unique like that. It's almost like taking a fat guy and throwing him in front of a camera and having him talk about the fitness industry. I mean, it really is in so many ways.
I've been in some gyms lately where I was like, this is the instructor, this is the training manager, this is the guy.
Manager.
God bless him.
It's an it. It's a him or a her. Insert the name.
Getting started.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is.
So you do the Protector Symposium, but there's other components. You have a thriving EP business that you run as well.
Yeah, man. So Bravo Research Group, that's my company, boutique private security company out in Southern California. And really, man, with the way all the little tectonic plates that have been shifting in American culture, there's so much disruption and fear.
You'll be the cops in a week.
Right?
Right?
There's just been so much growth, man. The industry is transforming. So it's the best time to get into this game. Things are going through the roof. It's an honor, though, to be able to bring stability and confidence to people in their lives, And, the people that got money are going to have money. And it's even the EP industry is almost moving towards like a PMC stance where, clients are wanting to build their own kind of platoon around it, really. So it's been pretty awesome to be part of that. It's like not a renaissance in the game, but before this whole thing kicked off, there was an article, a Forbes report that was talking about private security growing 10xing within the next. Actually doubling in the next 10 years.
I believe it, 100%.
That was before the pandemic, and that was before all the riots. And when
I would say that's being nice.
Yeah, that was being nice, and robots aren't replacing us. And that was before all the chaos. Now that the chaos is there, man, it's an amazing industry, and that's kind of what the school does to help people get into the game.
What made you want to do it? Because you're fucking crazy to get in. You know what I mean? When you're like, I'm out of my mind.
Made me want to do the school?
No, we'll get the game. I will come back to the school, the EP game.
Okay, so getting out of actually, this is a story. So getting out of the Marine Corps, and I'm like, okay, I'm an infantry dude. Like I can hold a gun for somebody. So I guess I got cop, or I'm going to be, going overseas contracting. Like that's it.
All right.
So I went the cop route, and that didn't
or you
work.
could have walked around SHOT Show a few times, just like some people do, just
get
to
some
see
cargo
what.
pants,
I'm just gonna get some cargo pants, tuck your pants into your socks.
Yeah, man. Oh God bless him. So I wanted to go the cop route at first, and then that didn't quite work out. And then I wanted to, I was going to do the PMC route and got an in there, and then that didn't quite work out. And honestly, man, I'm a man of faith. So I was like, Father, like, what am I going to do? And he's just like, go bounce at this bar over there. You're going to be a bodyguard. You're going to travel the world. And that's honestly the story. That's what he told me. And so I look at my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, yo, I'm going to go bounce at this bar.
She's like, you fucking
think God
crazy.
told me to do it. She's literally like, no, he didn't. You're crazy.
You're crazy.
And 3 months later, I'm busting a table, just trying to be a good dude, trying to pay it forward. I didn't even need to be busting the table. These dudes look at me. They're like, hey, you a Marine? I'm like, yep. They're like, you're getting out. And I'm like, yep. They're like, you got combat experience? I'm like, yep. And then they're like, go get these permits. Come back to me in 2 weeks. I'll show you how to make a lot more money doing what you're doing. I blink. I'm on Rodeo Drive. There's like no handle on the door because I'm at some high-end jewelry store trying to go in, meet my client, do my first interview in the back of a Bentley. And 60 some odd countries in the first year. We traveled more than the president of the United States, more than the Secret Service, and the rest was history, man. It was like drinking out of a fire hose,
right?
And then, yeah, man, and then So that's how it started. But it was a perfect transition because I was crazy. I was getting out of the Marine Corps. I just came back from Iraq. My PTSD was ultra dopamine centric. So I was not like, I was more like, yo, I'm impenetrable. I just was addicted to my own dopamine. So I went hard in the paint. And then I was making six figures at 21. So that'll kill you. Like
and traveling,
everyone's like, congratulations. I'm like, I barely survived. So, I'm traveling the world going nuts, walking out of like underground clubs.
Oh yeah.
Freaking at like 7, sprinting to my room, changing, getting to the drop, getting to a private jet. Like, it was insanity, but I made it, and but it was a great transition. My point was, it's a great transition because I got to stay sharp, I got to stay strong. My hypervigilance was an asset, and it's good to be in the King's Court and have access to all the crazy things I got to experience. It's been a beautiful career.
it sounds amazing, and people don't realize one of the funny things is there. I know people think about it. I'm not naive. There are worlds below worlds. If you understand what I'm saying, right? And some nights, for many of you, let me clarify this point because people are gonna think I'm talking about subterranean lizard people. let me be honest. So for some people, you get a glimpse into this. One night you're out with somebody, maybe they're somewhat connected or famous or know somebody, and you get a glimpse of it. You might go somewhere or go to an after party. I'm not looking at you because I'm going to laugh. But you might go to an after party. You catch a glimpse of it, and you're like, remember that night? And for the next 20 years, you talk about that one night because it was so amazing. It's like the back room in Studio 54. Now, what it really means is that's how that person lives every day.
That's a slow Tuesday for
That's
them,
a slow Tuesday. Like, hey, you wanna come along? I'm gonna go over here, or I'll end up at the mansion at MGM or here or there. So there's always a world beneath the world, and then below that there's another world, but below that might be the subterranean lizard.
100%, man. And you stick around, you stare in the abyss too long, the abyss will stare back at you.
Big time, yeah. It's not like, okay, so full disclosure, like,
man.
Brian at UFC, who's Dana's bodyguard's personal security, does a good friend of mine, and we talk and we communicate sometimes, and one of the things that we talk about is just like he's on the merry-go-round. It's a roller coaster, and it's like boom, you're into the next thing, into the next thing, and the next thing. And I know what you guys go through, but you have a good position in that court. My position was always a little different. I was kind of along for the ride in a lot of instances, like, hey, we're going over here, or we're going there, or the cars I was in. That's the whole reason the podcast started. Everybody's like, you have these really cool conversations with all these cool people. Why don't you fucking record them? I go, that's called wiretapping. But I have an idea. We could do it
consensually this way.
Yeah. So it is a cool seat. It's a glimpse into that universe, though.
100%. Well, there's these pitfalls, right? There's like these tripwires, So you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah, it's called coke and hookers.
That's there too.
That's there too.
And you gotta realize, man, you are the help, and this is not your life. If you start getting drawn in and thinking that you're part of the whole scene, you're gonna get axed, you're gonna get smoked. And a lot of guys, their egos, especially when they first get in and they're chasing their client in a Lamborghini and they just got off the private jet and they're going to the Burj Al Arab and they're just like, oh man, like I made it. And it's like, no, dude, this was all a dream. They can have it in like 2 seconds. So ego management and really, really making sure you stay humble and grounded and realize it's not about you. That's huge for guys trying to get into this game. And if you can maintain your professionalism and you can hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and you can contribute and play your freaking position, it can be one of the most rewarding careers ever. And you have to value the art of protection. I think protection's a sacred thing,
Right.
So that's, there's some pinnings on that.
Now, along the way, the symposium comes up, which I think is such a cool venture, and that's why I want to come back to it.
Yeah, man.
You cook up this idea of getting all really cool people in a room and creating this model. What was the trigger for that? What was the moment that you were like, I think this makes sense to do this?
Yeah, man. I just saw like a huge gap, dude. I saw a lot of people being like, I'm going to the range and I'm going to learn how to shoot and then I'm going to be safe. And I'm like, you're an easy target. Like, you have no idea what you're like. Oh, you have a gun on you. Like, maybe you're carrying my gun. You know what I mean? Like, you got a gun on you for me if ever anything happens, and I was kind of like, there's just this huge gap in the intelligence within the protection demographic. Also, the art of protection is the one skill you have that protects every other thing you love in your life. Like, bump all your rights you think you have. If you don't understand how to protect them, like, that's not even going to be your stuff when it gets real. So and then I started to see a lot more violence and a lot more, emotional intelligence is at an all-time low. There's no accountability, nothing sacred anymore. Law enforcement's kind of got their hands tied. I started seeing all these things happen, and I realized in our world, if it's going to be a safer place, we need the general population to be smarter, have more awareness,
of course,
and know how to deal with things. Like, something goes down in Israel, like there's a shooting in Israel. What is this? Like, oh, terrorist tries to shoot someone, shot by everyone, 1.5 good dudes got shot. There's a shooting in the United States. Dude runs through the club, shoots like 14 to 20 some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, we're a gun culture. Like, how can we change these dynamics? And so that's when I was like, I think I'm gonna do this. And then I'm just stupid enough, like, I'm just grunt. I'm an infantry dude, and I'm kind of like sizing up the terrain. And I'm like, you know what? I think You know, and everyone's like, don't do it, Byron, this is suicide. And I'm like, I think I'm going to freaking do this. There's a need, you know? So, and then it's not about me, you know, it's not about like, oh, look how cool Byron is. It's like, no, I don't have all that to give you. It's about, yo, let me get the best in the business and let these civilians learn from people who are teaching agencies and who are teaching the elite warriors of our nation, of the world. Like, I don't even know if civilians really understand what they're getting sometimes, you know what I mean?
I think there's a huge gap for it, Byron. Yeah. And the reason I come back to it is I think the NSSF and the NRA missed the boat with guys like you. And I think technology and everything else is moving so fast. Like you should be doing a protective symposium at the NSSF SHOT Show. Like that's the stuff that should be going on. But they're not doing it. And part of it is because you have too many old white guys in charge. That's real reality.
There's always some politics.
Yeah, there's too many old white guys in charge. Right. And I really believe that they really screw that up because at the end of the day, whether it's an event or a gathering, just like your symposium, that we're putting all these people in one place, what's the opportunity you're creating for those people? And that's where people are going to find the value in SHOT Show or NRA. Right. But I think the future of it, big picture, is going towards stuff like yours. If you can pull brands in, those types of micro events or medium events that are in between what a trade show, a traditional trade show would be versus what you could have.
That's awesome. And the huge...
Not to blow your mind.
No, I do. You better believe the hamster's on the wheel right now, like just taking notes, like running.
You're still looking around the studio looking for...
Right? Yeah. No, but I think the other huge piece is like this applies to everyone. You know,
I agree.
Like, women come to our course, they learn how to fight in a car, and they learn so many different skills that I think every female, like what Craig Douglas taught, I think every female in the world should learn that. There's a million reasons, but like it applies to everyone. I try to make the brand like, look, I don't care what your background is. The first thing I say to them, look, you're validated because you spent your time and money to be in this room, and this event is all about the protector DNA in the world. We are the white blood cells in the body of humanity on this planet. So no matter whether you're a cop, a first responder, a barista at Starbucks, for this next 72 hours, we're all protectors, man. And we are going to be those people that are able to bring on scene accountability when evil rears its ugly head. So it applies to everyone. Single moms hit me up like, you think I should come? I'm like, absolutely. You know, the first responders, dudes like that hit me up and they're like, man, this is looking awesome. I can't wait to learn from these dudes. Those are the biggest compliments I've gotten is when, you know, some mom walks up and is like, this was amazing. Or and then I have, you know, a private security dude or an agency dude be like, man, dude, I learned a lot here. It's like, that's what we want to do because I want to bring everyone into the game.
No, I catch glimpses of some guys doing it really right. Things like you're doing. When Tony does the week-long law enforcement class, the way that they bring in not just their own personal brand, the way they bring in other brands, the way they bring in other people. And I think part of growth in this industry and one of the barriers for a really long time was a failure to understand that it's not about how big your dick is or what you did or who you were or this or that. None of that matters. None of that matters. It doesn't matter. It's not going to get you paid today. A good business plan and putting together the right recipe is what's going to get you paid. Your number one objective is to build an audience that's going to support the things that you're trying to teach and the culture you're trying to create. Too many guys get that, like you said, ego involved, and they start peeling at the fat. Oh, I just want to be out on the range. I want to show people how good of a shot I am.
No, and and for me, that's playing small. My game is how can I get the most valuable product to the end user? Something that they might be like, oh, I'm looking at these couple of training events this year. Yeah, well, this one training event will give you more value than any one training event you probably go to.
And I definitely want you to teach everybody listening because a lot of people don't know this, and Tony and I talk about this. There's a difference between going and taking the Protector Symposium versus taking your local class versus passing the NRA certificate exam. And there is room for everybody to play. And I try to explain to people all the time, guys like Tony Blauer, they have a place.
100%.
Tony 100% has a place. Not everybody, like you said, wants to go do jiu-jitsu for 7 years. So can you just let everybody know what the difference is between the guy who takes the class versus all the way up to maybe something with you or something with Tony or something with Ed, you know, on that level?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with adding tools to the toolbox. You'll hear me say a lot in my content, protection's more than just a job, it's a lifestyle. You know, and so I'm literally trying to get you to open your eyes to this lifestyle. I'm trying to open your eyes to your vulnerabilities, the things you suck at, the things you like, man, I need to want to learn that. So these protector symposiums are like a flashpoint, right? Where, especially, you know, like Tony's section, you know, it's like, this is what you're actually capable of. Like, okay, you were a once upon a time guy, you were a ninja, you were a Jedi, you know, maybe you were a SEAL, whatever, but today, let's see what you can do and get exposure to all these different arts and all these different disciplines, and walk away with one or two things from all these different arts.
The mindset too.
And then the mindset stuff is so much more valuable than anyone realizes, because I can download information into your mind, give you the software. Now you see through the matrix, you see the world a different way, you move a different way. Now for the hard skills, that's stuff you need to practice so they can get in you and you can have a better baseline of performance when you're under pressure. But that's a flashpoint, right? This is exposure to new techniques, new tactics. This isn't the lifestyle. Like, you're not a made man because you went to train one time. Right? So then you now know, like, man, I got a lot from this, I got a lot from this. Now it's time to really look at your lifestyle. And this is where finding a local trainer, the same way you would find like a personal trainer or hire any skill you want to have, you'd find an instructor that can pass that to you. Now you make your pick and you choose how you're going to find something that's going to improve your world even more, you know. And that's kind of, I think, the difference. And one of the things we try to do when we bring a protector symposium to an area is we join forces with the local trainers that are worth it, and we try to plug people into that protector way of life. Because the bad guys right now, like, they were out last night getting jumped in and out of cliques. They were getting stripes. They're doing dirty deeds for cheap. They're getting in fights. You're just trying to go to your 9 to 5. Like, you got to be a beast to fight a beast. You know what I mean? And so my whole goal is to really open your eyes to this thing, and then also get you to be like, you know what, this is maybe the hobby or the thing I'm going to add to my life that'll give me a better baseline of performance. That's on the physical side. But on the software side, the cool thing about that is I can teach you something that you can take home, and you can be like, okay, cool, tactical positioning. I'm going to be aware of where I am in a room at any given point in time. That's a conversation. Right. You know, rolling risk assessment. Like, I'm going to be checking risk where I'm going, and I'm going to dial up my situational awareness accordingly. You know, these are different things that you can just instantly start to just implement in your everyday life through a conversation. And when you have someone like a Mike Pannone or, you know, an Ed Calderon teaching you about these things, that type of learning can happen very quickly. You know?
Because anytime you're working with an SME, you're not necessarily hiring them because they may know more than a 50-year guy on your local range that just maybe never went that route to go national. But they are going to adjust the curve for you to learn that much quicker. A true SME is going to adjust that curve. It normally would take 90 days. That's why Rosetta Stone sells, guys. That's you know, that's why it works. They're adjusting the curve. Now, what I find so interesting and what I think you know, really sells isn't just the collection of folks that you put together that I think is so well curated and thought out, but I also think we touched on this, the mindset piece in the delivery of the information, both on the range and off the range. And that's the key. And I think bringing that together and bringing everybody together to have real conversations is really super important.
Absolutely. Because we do. So you get that conversation, you know, when you listen to them the first day, you get the software, you get the soft skills, but then we'll have a panel, and then it's your turn to be like, hey, this is what I deal with. What do you think about this? You know, like, what should I do here or there? And those panels are just, like, we could fill up half a day, because just being able to ask these guys these questions that are relevant, that the whole crowd is wondering about, it's a game changer. And then the third piece is, if you come, you then get access to the replay. You know, all of our Protector Symposium library is there. Anyone can purchase it at any time, but now you don't have to worry about taking notes. You literally are like, hey, I can be here 100%. They're going to send me the replay, and I can like force my friends and family to watch it, you know, and I can take this. I have it forever now. And that's huge when it comes to the software that you want to get from these things.
And a lot of people think, you know, I get down on the industry. I don't get down on the industry. I think we've come a long way. People have to remember, even Mike Pannone, Tony and I remember, I know you do. Back when we all started, we had like DVDs like that. Like, I'm serious. Like, that was as good as it was. Everybody has to understand. So everybody talks about where we were and where we are. Okay. How I was doing, where I am. So 20 years ago, I would say, Tony could better correct me on this. He's actually pretty good at it. But like, we had Pat McNamara and Larry Vickers. That was it. Now it's come a long way, and it's evolved and it's grown. And there are guys like you. I just don't understand why the NRA, that has a training division, doesn't bring guys like you in to recreate models like this It makes no sense to me.
I honestly, man, I was on a call with a powerhouse in the private security industry, and they were like, well, what do you know, if we bring you on the board, what do you think you can bring to the table? And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I went to your last event. There was no digital footprint. There was
nothing.
You guys are leaving easily hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. And in terms of your reach and all, I think there's just, at the end of the day, as tragic as it is, there's just a lack of understanding on how to leverage the digital realm around these things. Like, especially when it comes to training, everyone thinks, well, you need to get out into the range. It's like, there's a whole bunch of conversational pieces that we can have. Like, I can get you to a certain place, and then we go to the range. Now our time at the range is maximized. We can get down to business and we can get right into it, So it's, and then for teaching the masses, there's no better tool than the digital stuff, So
I know why it doesn't happen, Byron, and I'll give everybody the cheat code. A lot of it is because of one, ego, and like I said, too many old white guys earlier.
Exactly
the third piece that's really critical that everybody has to understand is at the NSSF level, at the NRA level, there's a lot of like people that sit on these boards, like Smith & Wesson, all these different brands. And if you don't believe me, go listen to the episode I did with Tom Taylor. Go listen to some of my industry episodes. These guys will tell you this. And they always want to block something. Oh, Byron, who's he sponsored by? Oh, maybe it's this. And then HK chimes in, well, we want our guy there. And it turns into this whole thing. A lot of it doesn't even get to that point, and I'm giving them too much credit. A lot of it stops with ego, like you said, because they don't understand the digital footprint, how to leverage it. I've been at events that are beautifully run events.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even streaming it. They're not. There's nothing. It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And I wanna.
And you're like, who's in charge here?
Who's killing this thing? Yeah, and I want to. And what I've learned is, man, the beauty of today. I wanted to bring the amazing products that I've seen out, and I want to give other people access to them, and I want to do so much.
We do it for free. I know where you're going. Listen, we would all do it for free. Tony would do it for free. Man, Tony would do it for free. Right. That's crazy.
But half the problem is, like, once I start or I see that I'm getting blocked, I'm like, well, dang, man, I guess I'm gonna take these superpowers and just create my own freaking table. Yeah,
because it's so weird.
Now you can build the thing on your own. So it's like, and then once you start doing it, they're like, are you competing with us? I'm like, no, I'm just doing what the industry, someone needs to do this.
They don't understand. Listen, I'm going to boil it down to this. They don't understand that the only thing they have going for them right now is they could offer some degree of amplification.
Yeah.
And if they could at least understand and offer that amplification, you, me, Tony, everybody in this business would sign up and do it for free.
Yeah.
Anything, whatever they ask, doesn't matter. You want me to clean the toilet? I'll do it.
Yeah,
but they don't get. It's not necessarily. We're all not trying to get rich doing that.
Right.
We're trying to get rich in our own businesses.
Right.
But if it's about helping the cause and doing an event, I just see it as a no-brainer. It's so crazy.
Same here, man. Yeah. No, there's a lot being left on the table, and I'm just the kind of guy that's like, well, one of my highest values is contribution. So it's like, I would love to contribute to what you guys have, but if you're not going to let me contribute to what you have, I'm still going to contribute. And then I'm going to go I'm just going to create it somewhere else.
What I think we all see, and I'll be honest, is the leadership orgs in our business have let us down terribly, most of them. And a lot of them are still, there's a lot of good orgs out there, but a lot of them are still dropping the ball. They want to make it a legislative organization, which I understand.
Yeah.
They want to make it like but don't say you have a training arm too, and you're not using the best in the business.
Right.
Okay. And if you have your interpretation of what the best is, then the next thing I'm going to look at and analyze is maybe the digital where that's available.
Right.
Because if the best is a textbook, nobody uses a textbook anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to have that mix of everything, or I'm going to judge you.
100. Well, and it's a righteous judgment because the way the game is played right now, the whole war for market share is so much of it is online or is moving into the online space. And
it's all there now. I mean, Recoil, worthless. You know what I mean? I don't even know if they still have a channel. Somebody bought it. I think Big Daddy Unlimited bought it, or somebody's trying to figure out how to use it. Who the fuck knows? They're all fucked up. And then, you have other magazines and other rags that they have no distribution. Nobody listens to them. And for the most part, even half the podcasts, they have the same 4 guests on. You know how it goes.
Yeah, well, and it's also like, it's like when music started going from CD to like Napster-y stuff and like online, and a lot of the record labels and stuff, they didn't know how to evolve with the times. You know what I mean? God bless 50 Cent for starting to leak content and just diving into the chaos, and I think that's what's happening is a lot of them don't know how to dive into the chaos, and then they're threatened by guys that they're not familiar with when they should just recruit these dudes to be assets.
Oh my God.
That's the game.
100%. And listen, to anyone listening from an org or we're here. Our phones are on.
Yeah, man.
I mean, come on down.
It would be an honor,
And I'd love to do it. It's a shame because I think you got something. Now, you start doing the symposiums. When did you know doing them, in the act of doing them, that you had something special?
Geez, that's funny. So like
when did you look out and you're like, there's actually people here that paid?
So yeah, man. So like the very first one out the gate, we had 250 people there, and it was just like, it's hard to explain moments like this in life where you're like, yo, this turned from a dream into a real hard reality, like a legit real. This just crystallized. Like, we're now into the real realm of this actually just happened. And I'm looking out over that very first one, and there's 250 people there, and I'm like, we just created something big, And then obviously the weight of like now, what it takes to get your girl, it takes to keep her. And so now I'm like, man, we got to press into this thing. And honestly, it was that very first event when I first walked in, before the stage, before everything, and it was just like packed. Like our venue was packed, and there's people everywhere, and I'm like walking up the stairs, and I'm just looking around, and I'm like, this is a real, actual, living, breathing thing that we just did. And then I'm just like looking at the demographics in the room, and there's like law enforcement, there's civilians, there's professional protectors, private security.
You had that right mix.
Yeah, and I was like, man, okay. Bangarang.
Yeah, you're like,
ooh, yeah,
I didn't lose my shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's pulling off a crazy trick when you're doing something that hasn't been done before.
But now you understand the experience and experiential marketing and experiential brand development. And these are concepts that I really enjoy.
These are high level.
This is some high level shit.
Cooking with tartar sauce.
Why is this so hard for orgs and certain brands, even brands, Byron? Like, I feel like you're 3 clicks ahead of the brands, and until the brands, and to me, Sig, Right On, some of the brands I work with, they're the first brand. They understand it. Believe me, they fucking get it. Tom Taylor at Sig gets it.
Awesome.
Okay, these guys get it. There are some though. You talk to them, and we talked about this earlier. They're like, but you don't understand. We cut another slot in the rail. Why is it so hard?
I mean, I think it's really, honestly, it goes back to what you're talking about. It's the evolution that these companies, their velocity is highly impacted by the minds and the generations that these people come from, and the lack of appreciation. Like, well, it's almost like the crypto conversation. There's no value in any of that stuff. Like, hey, bro, something's happening over there. You need to pay attention to that. You know what I mean? And it's the sacred cows of the past, the dogmatic stuff where they're just holding on to what's been working for 15, 20 years, and they think it's going to keep working. And evolution is a cruel mistress, and I know I have already promised myself, like, when I get old and I think the stuff that I've done and my good times were like so cool, I'm going to sideline whatever it was I think that was really cool. I'm going to find the fresh blood out there, and I'm recruiting every one of those. And that's how I'm going to survive. That's how the brand's going to grow.
I have a theory on it, and you're a mindset guy, and I floated this by a couple people. I want to get your take on it.
Yeah.
I think the baby boomer generation is the worst thing to ever happen in this country.
Really?
And I think that entire generation, right, they have a lust for power. We've had more baby boomer generation presidents than ever, than any other generation, rather. We've had more baby boomers put into power in companies, in businesses, in any situation, and they have a lust for it, and they will not let it go. It goes back to even when Hillary lost. It was like, we don't want to lose. Like, it's like, we don't know. Like, and I get it. Nobody wants to lose, right? It's not about winning and losing, but there's this power struggle in their mind where they don't want to necessarily pass the businesses to the kids, like you're saying. They don't want to give the power. Because I've had the conversation, Byron, and I'm going to say something that should hit home. How many times have we sat with companies, organizations, brands, and we say, where's your largest following? And they'll say, oh, we have 5 million on Instagram, or oh, we have 5 million in our newsletter. Well, who writes your Instagram and who writes your newsletter? Oh, that's my nephew, Bobby. Let's get him in here. I'm like, so you put the most powerful outlet for you to reach your audience in charge of your stupid nephew.
Yeah, because
it makes no sense.
Yeah, man. I think there's a pretty organic reflex within any old.
It's because they don't value it.
Yeah, they don't value it. And then also as things change, people just want to believe and they want to live their legend, man. You know, and so they hold on to what they're used to, what they think should work, how they think the industry.
It's a dangerous
should
mindset,
be.
even for your work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way kids should be these days, like they start holding on to what has worked, what they're in love with, and the way they think it should be. And that's not always the way it is. And so you have to be willing to just erase the whiteboard and sacrifice a former version of yourself in order to step into what really is in reality, even if it's something that scares the crap out of you because you don't understand it. You know, and that is, I think that's where we're heading now. And things are changing so quickly that it's like when the dinosaurs were going extinct, man. Like, it's like you really got to be able to sideline what you were thinking was cool and find out what's really actually cool. Like, yeah, man. So I think that's really had a lot.
A lot of these guys on these boards, man, they're like 70 years old.
Exactly.
You know.
So how can you even be in touch? You're 70 years old and you've lived this life of. It's not like the life of your target demographic. It's not like the life of your customer. So like, how do you connect with them? You got to raise up generals from amongst them and have them on the payroll in order to make sure you can maintain that influence. Like this is.
I want to see guys like you doing this symposium at NRA or NSA. I want to see you guys at that level. I think that's where it needs to be, and that's what people want. Yeah. And that's harnessing the power of all these folks.
Yeah. And if they want fresh blood and if they want fresh blood into their tribe, also I think it's extremely important because, you know, like I know that I resonate with my generation and I resonate with I feel like I honestly feel like the gun industry, like the avatar of who we are is like transforming exponentially.
Right.
You know, it was the cargo pants dude with the beard. Yeah, I mean, it was.
My favorite.
I avoid gun shops just to not have to talk to these types, you know. But now it's turning into more everyday people. It's turning into more single moms. It's turning into, you know, I saw a bunch of stuff for LGB, for those folks that are getting in the game. You know what I mean?
Every letter.
Like everybody. every letter. Every single one. But everybody's starting to get in the game.
Yeah.
And those who can create platforms and tribes and places that are more inclusive to everybody, those are the ones that are going to resonate with. If we keep it old school, you're going to lose touch with the new wave of.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with too is always the mentality has been I'm going to get a Navy SEAL or a Special Forces guy to use it, whatever it is, makes no difference, whatever the widget is, and we're going to do that. And that never made sense to me.
Yeah,
it's never made sense to me. I think they thought that appealed to civilians when really the ad with somebody with jeans on or a T-shirt that carries a gun, or one of the best ads, I say it all the time, was the Ruger LC9 ad with the girl running. And she had like it was in like every magazine, remember? She was running and she'd wear like leggings and a thing. I'm like, finally. That's how somebody actually dresses. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, people don't walk out of their house like they're retaking Omaha Beach.
100%.
You know?
Well, and I think erecting all of those types of folks, which is awesome. I love them. You know, I use them as well in the symposiums, but it does make it hard for the average person to connect.
There's not a bridge.
Yeah, they're like, well, I'm not a Navy SEAL. And I still get DMs all the time like, hey, like, I'm a mom. Like, do you think I should still come to your thing? Or, hey, you know, I don't have any tactical background, but like, do you think, and I'm like, 100%. And for me, that's been one of the major pushes with my marketing is like, yo, how can I let everyone know they're all invited and they're all going to be honored for wanting to get better at this sacred art of protection.
Byron, it blew my mind when we did the UFC event, how many companies that were like, oh, what do we get out of that? Bro, mind blown.
You're like,
I'm like,
the whole entire
if shooting is your wife, fighting is like your daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Right. These are
they're almost hand in hand, but they're like, but we have a lot of good inroads in fishing.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? There's not a
gun in these people's hands.
They love it.
They're gonna love you.
Yeah.
You know?
And fitness was another one that I'm like, what do you mean? Well, is that our audience? They all buy guns.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh my gosh. Fitness is huge, man. Golly.
Why is it? But that to me, because Tony and I,
it's like this tribal
that is
thing.
Mind blowing, Byron. That's next level mind blowing.
Absolutely. There's this tribal thing. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's a loss of touch to the demographic. You've been at the high table so long that you are not in touch with the everyday people that are out there buying your product.
I have to tell this story because it'll give you a snapshot into everything you're saying. I called a brand and I said, let's just say she wanted a belt. Valentina Shevchenko wanted a belt.
Yeah.
And I said, she just wants a belt. Let me figure this out. I called a brand, and the brand literally said to me, we can give you a 10% off code. Wait for it, guys.
This must have been a pretty amazing belt. Like this belt.
Listen, this gets better.
Yeah.
My goal wasn't free to everybody listening. So I don't want people to think like it was like to solicit free. But I'm like, does somebody from your marketing department want to talk to her?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, we're talking about the strawweight champion at UFC. Maybe there's value in that conversation. I mean, she is doing a movie with Halle Berry, and the people, Byron, I'm not making this up.
You know what?
The people,
forget your belt.
I was like, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm serious.
Yeah. I mean,
That is that crazy? You don't even believe it. It's so crazy.
What I'm saying, the lack of just to perceive the opportunity and the crossover, that's so huge. I'd be like, we'll give her 8
everything,
belts, any color belt she wants. We make this, and this. Yeah, I mean, like, absolutely
stunned.
Like, I would be like, we'll give her everything. We'll just set her up with whatever we have in our merchandise.
Or how about this?
Take
Hey, let
pictures.
us talk to her. I've been like, here's her email, whatever. Go ahead. You know, cool.
100%. Yeah, man. Let's make this thing.
I just was merely trying to make an intro, and you know,
we can give you 10% off, man. Hey,
and listen, nobody's ever saying free. I was like, wow, I don't manage anyone. I just was like, let me make an intro. Like, this could be a soft intro. It's crazy.
Well, I think too, like a lot of the gun companies, they've been so, like, so high up there. You know what I mean? They're so used to people being like, they people come to them all the time.
Give me a muzzle break.
Yeah, exactly. That maybe there's. I mean, it goes back to ego. You know,
right?
And realizing the opportunities that are out there by, connecting with these people's tribes. She's got an amazing.
Oh, it's not
tribe.
even.
You know what I mean?
It's so mind blowing, right? Like, it's just you get in awe. Like, what? Like, but
I think too, maybe they tried to do a lot of the like influencer centric marketing, and they were probably pretty disappointed,
right?
Because you find somebody who's hot on Instagram. Well, everyone's playing around on Instagram.
Yeah.
Does that person have an actual brand? Do people actually spend money with them? Do people go to them for advice and actually spend money? That's a whole nother conversation. So I think a while back, I remember when the influencer thing was hot, they were like investing in these influencers, and it probably didn't really affect their bottom line because I think they picked the cool guys.
Yeah.
Like my brand is a business. Like it's a business. Like people come over.
I think they not only pick the cool guys, but I also think, Byron, there's some ownership on the brand side, because when they come in, sometimes they come in and they're, and I know this from experience, they're very loving. They're bearing gifts. They're holding things. Oh, Byron, we want to work with you.
Come and see that I am kind.
And then they want, then they want to fuck up your model. And they're like, well, we want to do this. We were thinking you could do that. And I do put some ownership on the brands. A lot of the brands, when they start to play at the higher level, there's less room for excuses, mistakes, everything else. And if you've built something organic that's fun, sometimes they want to come in and put their own stamp on it, and they screw it up.
Yeah.
I think the best thing they can do is keep their hands off and get involved as you kind of see these opportunities present themselves, like an event or something like that.
Right.
But they try to get in the soup a little sometimes, and I think that fucks them up. Their marketing director wants to get in the soup a little with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, I
got my recipe already.
Yeah.
I got my recipe. Like I can add more brand recognition here and there, and I think the pick your parts thing is awesome. I think it's huge, but you never want to tell the guy who built the tribe, like how they should run their tribe, because then they stop. Then the whole demographics like, what is our guy just been bought and paid for?
Right.
And now that person starts losing social equity, and that's a problem.
And the problem with a lot of these marketing directors is they are just, most of them, not all, most, were people that want to be famous. They're just not famous yet, or they couldn't build a page.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. Now, there's good marketing directors that have vision, foresight, can see the tea leaves a little bit, and they can help guide you. You know what I mean? And they can read the texture, and they can figure out, okay, we should go here. There's guys like Tom that have they're in command of very large budgets. There's people like Brady Speet that write on that. They want to take chances. They want to look at stuff, and they want to say, okay, this makes sense. And it's understanding that your customer is from everywhere, proliferates. It's everyone. And now the women's community, The black community in guns is huge. I mean, these are huge forces. And I think it's about, everybody's jockeying for those ears. But we have these new shooters that have come in that have no connection to the gun industry whatsoever, that have no tie to the gun industry. Right. How do we win them? That's the question.
And that's, so, I mean, that's something I've been trying to create into my marketing and into my content as well. It's like, how do I connect with these guys? And I've got a whole rash of testimonials from people who are at the symposium. Like, let me tell you something. At the symposium, like after the first and second day of hands-on training, it was real Fight Clubby, to be completely honest with you. So it was like, you could see people after running through Tony's Monster Factory.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst.
Guys got bloody noses. But
we saw a guy one time trying to do it with a scar. We were like, put that down. You're gonna fucking fall down.
And everyone's just smoked, and they're all just like, ugh. And I'm looking at everyone, and they're destroyed, but they're glowing, man. They're glowing.
Survival.
And they're just like, they feel like they've been reborn because they have. But, I'm getting those testimonials like, yo, what's your day job? Like, oh, I'm a barista at Starbucks, but I'm here and I'm able to be a protector. And now I've been empowered. So for me, it's all about the testimonials. Like you can see me talk about it till I'm blue in the face. It's my product. But when, a mom sees another mom that was there that is like, wow, this lady knows how to fight in a car and understands all this stuff. And she's glowing while she's talking about what she just went through. That's my entry point. That's my at least approach to try to create that, and that it goes back to what you were talking about, creating those experiences, experiential marketing.
Yeah, and I think it has to be like cost effective. You always have to have the dime bag for the ounce. You got to have that cost effective. Do people still buy dime bags? Is that still a thing?
They got it, man.
They got it, right? They're out there somewhere. Right. That used to be a thing. Wow, I just dated myself. So I think when you look across the landscape.
Yeah, man.
Regardless of what you and Tony say, and I'm going to say this without looking at either of you, when you get to the level where you're getting instruction from you guys, it's a little bit like taking a Gordon Ryan class. It's going to go a little over your head. I think eventually developing some of the gateway drug to the symposium is going to be the bridge. How do I get somebody for a one day only type snapshot that then sells and sets up that next thing? Because I always say that to Tony. I go, Tony, no 70-year-old guy can come take this class. He's like, what are you talking about? They'll be fine. I'm like, I'll be fucking dead. And he has had guys go to, he's had guys do it. Yeah. But the concepts, the things he's teaching you are a little bit high level to wrap your head around if you just started shooting yesterday.
Yeah. And
that's the thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the hurdles we've been trying to, because I want everyone to come.
Bridge,
one of the bridges that we're trying to build. But you do need to have your fundamentals down. You do need to understand your safety and different things like that. What we did was this last time we batched everyone, right? So
smart,
green, rookies, green with,
yellow
up to our like elite dudes, right? Which we actually learned from because we had a whole group of rookies, but it took them like twice as long to get through all the events. And the instructors are like, yo, bro, like, you gotta spread the rookies out maybe with some other more competent dudes. Because if I got a whole batch of rookies, like I gotta really, really watch everything, So, I'm learning really how to do that. And then, with the symposium, the cool thing is like maybe you're not the firearms guy or whatever the theme of that symposium is. You can I pick instructors that can meet you no matter where you're at. That's the first thing. No matter where you're at, I pick an instructor that can scale his training up or down for you. And then the second part is you can come to Friday and you can learn all the soft skills. You can start, and then you don't have to go to the range and do all that stuff if you don't want to. That way I can reach the all the different demographics. But
right.
It's definitely, especially with this last one where we're getting after it, I was just kind of like, all right, cool. We'll put them all in one group. And it worked. We got them all through. But we need some more gateway drugs. I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, I think it's about building that bridge to the gateway drug, like getting like, okay, here's, like I said, the dime, and then we'll get you into the ounce.
Well, and maybe, one of the things that we're kind of looking at creating is a network of local instructors
micro
that
guys,
we can really plug in and be like, okay, cool, man. You want to become a protector? Step one, get connected with a local kind of situation, a local instructor, a local cadre. And then step two, all the stuff we're going to teach you through the platform and the live events.
Now, I want to, there's a couple questions that came in. I want to get to a couple of them.
Hey, I haven't even looked over.
Yeah, I don't want to leave these guys hanging. Hand off the trigger, a lot of stuff. I want to give big thanks to Biggles. Biggles, appreciate the super chats. Daryl, I appreciate all you guys that are coming in and sharing the links. Guys, thank you for sharing Byron's links. Woo. Everybody appreciates that. Yeah, it's huge. Now, when you look out into the landscape of Insta famers and everything else. I want to get your take on this, and because somebody kind of touched on it earlier, but like, do you shake your head half the time, or do you see this good guys?
I'm already shaking my head right now as this question comes in.
I have to ask.
Yes.
I have to ask because you're obviously really good at your craft. You, Tony, some of the guys I know, and there's a lot of great ones. I love what some guys are doing out there. But do you look at some people and you're like, okay, the Detroit urban survival tactics guy. I mean,
oh man,
what do you say to that?
He's like, I mean,
like a cartoon.
Like, I mean, the guy.
Is it real?
He's like
who's on the other end of the headset?
He's like a nemesis. Like, I'm over here trying to like help good people understand the reality of protection and get awesome training and then he pops up and he's like, Detroit and I'm like sitting there at the back of my phone and I follow him and I don't want to ever, talk bad about it.
No, but like how you? I'm like, wow.
It becomes a responsibility because I can't have people
Tony
out there
said the same thing
doing this thing with this guy, because I seen it on Instagram and it looks cool. And he's like dead serious. He's like staring into the camera while he's talking about it. I'm like, he's selling this and he's good at selling it.
Listen, I have to tell you something. Breathe for a second. The greatest comment I ever seen under one of these things, it might have been on McDojo or one of those guys. When they posted his thing, they go, Detroit Urban Survival Tactics. The acronym is DUST. If you practice what he teaches you, you will be DUST.
DUST. It's real, man. And I heard he's like big on TikTok, and I'm like, these kids they're believing him. It's like he's
got water guns. Like
literally, I'm like, this is like the Joker. Like if we're Batman, he's like the Joker of the thing. So yeah, man.
Who wins in a battle, him or the other guy from what's his face? Who's the other one? It was like he had like 4 different names. It was like
Voda.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, man.
Who wins in a battle?
I'd like to see them fight each other. You know what I'm saying? I think Voda's more from the streets. I don't know. But he's from Chicago. I don't know.
Voda's got more dirt under his nails.
Hey. But yeah, those guys kill me, and they actually give me a lot of fuel because I'm like the onus and my need to create, get the right people on the platform and amplify the right people is so much more. And there's so many handshake guys out there that offer great training but don't understand the marketing and don't understand how to really leverage the digital realm. And that's where there's so much of the fight and the influence is right now. So
don't take a class from Dust,
dude. I never wanted to deplatform somebody. Like I want what's best for everyone. But when I see his stuff, I'm like, this is so scary.
What I don't understand is how this is real talk
people
for a second, guys. This is real talk.
With the
how do we all get our accounts shut down and censored, and this guy's literally running around with a gun pointed at like killing people? Like,
yeah, man.
How does that happen?
Seriously, man. Because maybe the algorithms know like this is awesome. They're like this is gonna. Maybe.
Thank you for keeping them in some ways.
Yeah.
In some ways, but the sad part is they do take themselves seriously. That's what's terrifying.
Absolutely seriously. You know how we do it is. And of course the people that talk about this forever, but like maybe we have an event like SHOT Show and like maybe we have like some SMEs just get in the ring together.
Yeah. Well, I had an idea for that, a real idea for ESPN. Man. We had a real idea to get the real SMEs together and get money involved. There was something there. But I think getting the celebrity death match guys, which that's
what
different.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, do a celebrity death match with them. It would be hilarious to get like Voda, Dust, and some of these other guys. That's what I'm going to call from now on.
He's Dust forever. He's done.
Here's the $1 million question. We asked the hard-hitting questions here on the John Bartolo Show, and I'm going to ask Byron a hard-hitting question.
Absolutely.
Who's on the other end of his headset?
The other end of it.
Who's on the other end of that Jabra fucking earpiece?
Jabra thing. Yeah, I think they just remind me of a bunch of Power Rangers. Maybe Zordon's on the other end of the heads.
Bro, he's wearing a fucking headset.
Dude, a headset with like his little, they're all like kind of culty looking in there.
Yeah, they wear the same sweater vest.
They all have the same with the little ninja Power Ranger symbols on the side. Like it's mad, like completely out of this world, fictitious, everything about it. So.
Do you think he's a real guy working like in Detroit and gets like EP work and stuff?
I think he's I think he's a security guard. That's what I think. I think I don't know, correct me if you're wrong out there, bro. I'll talk to you anytime, but I think he's a security guard because I've seen some of his videos and I'm like, oh, you're like a gated community security guard who's also like a sensei and has a little dojo and like started his own little cult. Not cult, but like his own little following. And, you know, when you're in that vacuum and you're just being told your ideas are the best, this is how we get here, you know?
I'm going to do something that I think everybody in this industry should do more often. And I think Byron will agree with me. Instead of making fun of the guy, if the guy, I don't know his name, Mr. Dust, if you want to go take Byron's class at the symposium, I'll pay for it. Okay? I will pay. So to everybody out there, if you want to tag him, Detroit Urban Survival Tactics, I will pay if you want to go to Byron's symposium. I will gladly put up the money, and you can actually learn some real techniques that might actually help you and probably save the lives of those that techniques that you're amplifying today.
Influencing. Yeah, man. Because, I mean, honestly, my goal is always to make the industry better. You know, so if I see someone I think is missing the mark, that's why I haven't made any content or directly said anything negative about the dude up until we had this conversation. But
it's not negative. I don't think you said anything negative. I don't think I did either.
I want us to, like, because we're all on the same team and we're all trying to contribute. We're contributing from different spaces ish. I see
for the record, if someone points a gun at you, hand them your wallet. I'm dying to get Tony. Recently. You and Tony should do a video like that. I said to Tony, full disclosure, because there's an inside joke here too. I told Tony, I said, while you're there, you should do a video where Byron pretends holds a gun at you and you're like, here's my wallet, here's my keys, I'm straight. We're cool. I'm out. Like, just leave it at that.
Like that.
Yeah, we've seen one that was hilarious.
Like an African dude or something, and he's like, I'm
so straight up.
Yeah, and that's literally it. He had one video where he's like, if someone's in the back of the car and they have a gun pointed at your head. And
I shared that because I was like, this is crazy.
Right, and I'm doing like these tactical protection reviews, and like every once in a while one comes along where I'm like, dang, like the bad guys were just good, bro. Like, unless you saw that coming, they did good that time. And I'm like, if someone's in the back of your car with a gun to the back of your head, homie, you got to play their game until you see a shot or something weird. You got to play their game. So, yeah, man, that stuff. I love the memes where it's like all of a sudden somebody's, you know, like they see him do like some disarm, and they're like, huh. And then they try it, and they're in heaven, you know.
I was dying laughing at one of them where it was like a rifle that was like a toy rifle pointed at someone in like a surrender position, like almost execution style, and he's like, just do this and this, and the barrel of the gun's like pointed at the person's head the whole time. I'm like, hot.
This is insane. Well, and you know what I'll say? I'll say that my hugest problem with it is something that Craig Douglas talks about and Mike Pannone mentioned is like, if it can't be tested at speed and the result cannot be replicated, then don't trust your life to it. So, you know, if you guys are going to a school or, you know, if you're listening, my man, like if you could, if
free tuition.
If you can't point that gun at me or another really capable dude and you do that disarm and you can't get it out of my hands and I just like take a step back and put 4 rounds and zip you up, you know, like if that type of stuff can't happen, then maybe. But 90% of those videos I see, I'm like, it's so theoretical.
Well,
I would destroy that guy, especially if I had a gun pointed at him.
Well, it's okay to say that. And what people don't realize,
but like someone.
No, and this is important to get across to people. What people don't realize is just what you said. One of the reasons jiu-jitsu is so effective is you can practice it at full speed.
Yep.
Okay, at a high tempo. Mm-hmm. And what people aren't looking for is perfect, but they're looking for repeatable performance, white paper. How's it work 60, 70, 80% of the time? And if you're in a situation where, what he's playing on is literally somebody has you execution style in your house. Yeah. You should be trained to never get to that point.
Soft skills. Yeah.
You should be trained to never get to that point. I don't care if you have to grab a pot of boiling water. I don't care if you have to grab a knife out of the case. He's glazing over all those things.
Right.
The only time you're going to be in that situation that he creates is if you were a mob accountant and you owed somebody money. So at that point, you should have a lot of things went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with, with people who teach a lot of jiu-jitsu on the range and they teach just guard pulling type stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're never going to use that in a real life scenario.
And a lot, you're never going to use it in a real life scenario. So many things went wrong for you to end up with some dude sneaking up and putting a gun to the back of your head. You're missing so many of the disciplines. But really, you guys, if you think that we're just, not on with this, then put some pads on.
Yeah, go full speed.
Try what he's doing and see if your buddy doesn't just take a step back and shoot you 5 times with the airsoft gun, or doesn't just like wiggle a little bit out of whatever little hold you're trying to do and shoot you 800 times.
And let me explain this to anybody out there. Once there's a shooting scenario and someone is shot in the room, or the perpetrator, if I may, shoots somebody, it's already escalated to murder at that point.
Yeah.
They have absolutely no reason to pop everybody else unless you have the launch codes or the keys to a safe.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, it's already escalated to a murder rap. It doesn't matter. You could drop everybody in the room and don't leave a witness.
Nothing's changing.
Yeah.
You hit that. Yeah, 100%. They're already past the line of
So
departure.
to me, this shows you how my mindset and my fucking home and beacons go off. The minute somebody gets dropped in a room, it's
Game
on.
time.
It's murder.
Yeah. It's time to go to work.
At that point.
And the other thing is too, like, it also goes back to the whole, like, okay, well, I'll just shoot a guy, I'll get a gun, or I'll learn these disarms and stuff like that. There's a place for hard skills, but long before anything like that even happens, like, you know, the soft skills, were you looking at context, you know, like, did you know where you were and like how you should act in that environment? Are you walking home after work at nighttime in a transitional space? Like, understanding. Now, people are always like, they're always talking about like situational awareness. I'm like, there's levels to this. Like, there's ways to make your situational awareness more effective. Like, understanding the context, understanding that you're in a transitional space, you're late at night, you're going to your car after work. Now, this gives you information to make sure you don't end up with a gun at the back of your head, because now you're paying closer attention, you know, and tactical positioning, like which way is my back facing as I'm getting in or out of my vehicle, and where am I exposed, and all these different things are going through your mind. Sounds like a lot when you start, but it's just like when you start driving a car. You get in a car and you're like just trying to shift, and you're looking at mirrors and you're like overwhelmed. You start living your life this way, you can live a safer pattern of life, and it's like a subconscious program you're running. It's like, no, I sit this way, I move this way. Okay, context is already going through my mind. Let me just pay a little more attention. I'm looking at my hard points, and you just kind of flow through, like
100%.
Long before anyone ends up with a gun to the back of your head.
Right.
You know, when you get in your car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Free tuition, Dust. If you're out there, contact Byron Rodgers. Tell him I sent you. It's on me.
It'd be an honor, man.
Crazy.
You know.
Now, does it scare you where the country's going? I want to ask you that, because I know the law enforcement thing is something you pay attention to. You have to in your line of work.
Yep.
It's getting crazy out there.
It is getting
They
crazy.
can't even replace their field force, and that's part of the reason why your business is doing so well.
Very true, man. But
Crazy.
I'm all about like kind of a little bit of chaos theory, you know. So for me, I'm kind of like watching the way this thing's going now. You know, I have the luxury of having been to war, and so I have the luxury of, like, most people like, there's a crappy day. I'm like,
Right.
Like, it's not
that bad.
Yeah, they can always get worse. But I do genuinely believe that out of chaos comes higher order. Right? And I do worry about the level of deliberation involved in these bad decisions.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, all right, are you guys making bad decisions because you're stupid, or because you're really trying to destroy this thing, so you can rebuild it the way you want? You know. So I'm kind of like looking at these different components like that. But I do know that, like, sometimes people need to learn how broken something is before they know how to rebuild it properly. So anytime I start to see like it's horrible what's happening with law enforcement. It's horrible how nothing's sacred. And I got a video yesterday, a dude pickpocketing an old lady in church. Like, you know, it's horrible how, you know, American culture's changed and our values have been degraded to the point where no one knows who, what, where, why, which way's up anymore, you know, and they're genuinely so confused nowadays, you know, on so many things, you know, but what I see the possibility for, you know, and this happens generationally. If you have one generation that's ultra stoic and strict and hardcore, the next generation is going to be more liberal and be like, I don't want to be like mommy. You know, so now I feel like it's almost going to be organically much more like, you know what, this is stupid. Like, people are starting to hopefully realize that.
Yeah. I think Virginia drew a line in the sand, and I think the Scared down in Jersey drew a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And I think because you're over enemy lines.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You're over enemy lines. So this is why I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
I think we kind of know where the line is going to be in this administration, in this political cycle, because Virginia kind of showed that.
Yeah.
People are getting sick of what's happening in the school board level, some of these, like the criminalization of parents because they want what's best for their kids. And a lot of that is very scary stuff, which is leading to a lot of people that are coming to you for help.
Right.
And I think that we know where the line is now. It's whether or not the rest of the country will act. I mean, we have to get some of these fossils out.
Yeah.
We have to kind of turn the page. And we're realizing now, especially on the vote that just happened, that there's a giant shift in the winds. All of the squad, AOC, all her girls, didn't vote on this package that just got passed, the infrastructure package that just came through.
Yeah.
That tells me that's kind of where the line is starting to form. And Joe Manchin says he's not going to sign off on anything. And I think that's really important. I think people need to want to know the numbers, whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
In life and in everything else, people should want to know the score. People should want to be more capable.
Right.
We're entering an age, I'm going to tell you guys, where there's a lot of people that have some skills that are out there, including the bad guys.
Oh, very much the bad guys.
So being prepared for that and understanding where your dollars are going and just having a willingness to question should never be a bad thing.
100%. I mean, we only arrive at higher truth by sharing our truths and having intelligent discourse. But also on top of that, I think that this is starting to wake people up to realize, like, I've got to take some responsibility. Like, if I just sit here on my couch, we won't have an America in another few years. And if I don't get involved, like, everything's being taken away from us. And I think people are starting to, and my personal protection, what are you going to call the cops? Are they going to be there in like 20 minutes? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, really, so I think people are starting to be like, I need to learn to protect myself. I need to learn how I can actually impact these politics. Like, I think it's waking people up to realize, like, I actually have to do something. And that's when we start to really actually.
There's a third less police officers in New York. Dude. Seattle, Washington's decimated.
Completely.
Decimated. Absolutely. You have areas like California where why the hell would you ever want to be a cop?
Yeah.
In certain pockets in Cali.
100%. And if everyone knows, man, the cops aren't coming to save you, like, this is when it gets crazy. Guys like me get a little bit happy about it, to be completely honest with you. But then the bad guys also know that. And I think civilians are starting to understand that as well. And it's interesting. I talk to cops and they're like, you know what? This has been one of the... They actually, a lot of the cops I talk to are like, the public really supports us. And so I think a lot of it too is what I experienced in Iraq. I watch the news and they're like, this city was crazy, gun, fire, hailed from the rooftops. And I'm like, no, that's not what that city was like. We actually put you in a van and drove you back because you guys were scared, but nothing happened. And I think they're making it look like we as a nation are a little bit more on that other side than most normal people actually are. And so now normal people are starting to be like, golly, I guess I gotta like not go to work and actually go to this
and take a soy bath
meeting. Yeah, exactly.
And take a soy bath.
Yeah, which I hope is happening, man, because we're the only people that can save the nation.
Yeah, and I think we have to own some of it. I think as protectors and as people that want to see our rights protected and everything else, I think we did a bad job of the marketing and a bad job of the ground and pound, so to speak. And now's a critical time, especially now with the new shooters coming in and the new folks coming in, because I've said this before, Byron, buying one gun is never usually the deal make or breaker. Some people will shove it in a closet, and getting them to take a class, getting them to be indoctrinated into the sport of shooting, the way, that's a great way to put it. Getting them indoctrinated into the way. What I noticed, and I think Republicans fail to do this, is someone who owns a firearm is so much more likely to side with our side of the aisle a little bit more, because it's not a right they tend to want to give back.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a right they tend to want to give back. We're all okay with certain things, but not that one.
Not that one. Not at all, man.
Not that one.
That's the one. That's, like I say, protection is the one right. It's the one capability you have that protects everything else you think you know and love. And I've the reality, I think, of this last year or so, you always hear growing up, like, the love of money is the root of all evil. And but as I've watched these games that have been played these last few years, like, I keep hearing that in my head. Is like, man, everyone and everything's for sale, y'all. And if we don't draw a line, this country is for sale. Yeah,
the writers have gone down the toilet. The coverage has gone down the toilet. The media coverage is all doctored and cooked in a lab, and you see what they want you to see.
Social engineering at its finest. It's impressive.
Finest.
It's impressive. You have a conversation with someone, you look inside their head, you hear their ideas, and you're like, you're either a zombie or you're still a person. Like, how much of this content have you consumed? Like when I start talking with people, and I'm like,
and look, to everybody listening, we might be becoming better humans, more capable. We might even be becoming better athletes. Yeah. But we are getting softer. Yeah. I mean, you're buying those Uggs blankets. You're sitting at home with the TV. You got Uber Eats. We're getting softer.
Yeah.
You need to do some stuff that's going to make you a little harder.
Yeah. With your hands. And I think the huge implication of that is when things are so easy and da-da-da-da-da, and you don't even realize it, your relationship to fear is like the way they control so many people. Your lack of familiarity with yourself and your capabilities, it leaves you so vulnerable to fear. You know
agree.
what I mean? Like, there's just stuff people can't take from you or push you around because you've been on a mat and you know what you're capable of, and you hear a new concept or idea, you're not afraid to like talk about it. Like they're trying to scare you with so many things so frequently, but if you have no confidence, which is experience with yourself, then you are extremely vulnerable to that television telling you what you should do because you're afraid of whatever they're pushing.
100%.
If you watch like the commercials and stuff right now, it is like terrorism. When I see some of these commercials, you're not good enough, you need to buy this thing. Yo, you need to get this supplement. Do you feel a little bit off right now?
Yeah.
We've got this drug for you. And it's like, dude, put some tussin on it. Go outside, freaking hit the mat, go for a run, take some Ranger candy. And you're a human, man. You're a human. We've been so durable for so many years. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Does it surprise you that, when you look across the industry, that it's taken so long for combatives to come in the way that they have? That's shocking to me.
Yeah, no. It was shocking to me because, I have a real world understanding of like what it takes to survive, and how of actual violence. I think a lot of people don't have any context or experiential information in their brain box about like really what violence requires, and how powerful just sheer violence is. And so, like, I did a symposium on like hand-to-hand stuff with blade work. This is like a huge, very important component on the spectrum of being able to protect yourself.
Huge.
No one it was like it was great.
There's a handful of guys doing blade stuff.
I was having to like hammer the marketing to get to get people to really value it. And I also think it goes back to what you said. People are afraid. They want to just push a button. Like they want to just shoot a guy, So they're really afraid of getting jaw jacked or getting tested or actually having to put their hands on someone. That's a whole other sensical, visceral experience that people have an aversion to. I think a lot of people really need to go and pay to get punched in the face. One of the biggest takeaways from our last training, is one of the females is like, I just got punched in the face. And you could just see her being like the shock was there, but then there's this huge empowerment and this confidence that like, yeah, and it didn't kill me, and now I have more durability, and I understand violence. Like she was there just going through the drills, and one of Tony's guys was just like, "Wake up!" and she was like, "Bah!" and it's like, "Oh wait, you're not going to just float through this training thing.
It had to be Diego.
Protect yourself.
It had to be Diego. It had to be Diego.
Diego's a savage. Shout out to Diego. He hit me with a spinning back kick.
And you're always invited Diego on the show. I know we talked the other day. I love you, but you do hurt.
Yeah, you do hurt, bro.
You do hurt.
Like this back kick he hit me with, man. It was so beautiful because it was like
just
perfect.
A touch overboard too.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about.
And it gets you just mad enough that he accomplishes what he wants to accomplish. You're like, you motherfucker.
Right, but it's soul crushing because you could tell it was like 15% of what he could do to you. So like it was so much control that you were like the control of it almost hurt me worse.
And you're like, you douchebag, and he's like 160 pounds.
Yeah, and you're like, he's like, I'm gonna hurt you, but I'm also going to show you that there's levels to this thing.
Yes.
And when I felt that, and the poison from my liver saturating my blood, and I paused for a second, and I looked at him, and I just was like, thank you. Because he did it just on the buzzer, so I had to go to the next guy. But, man, it's impressive. There's levels.
There is. 100%. I think the combatives piece, the reason I bring it up is it's something that's near and dear to a lot of guys' hearts, and with obviously the growth of jiu-jitsu and martial arts and everything else that people are contributing in, I'd like to see some of that boil into our industry a little bit, because if we had the same love for firearms as a martial art as we did for some of the guys that have the other stuff, we'd be unstoppable.
We'd be on
a whole nother level.
No, 100%. And, and I will always have an instructor at these symposiums to
groundwork, whatever, pummeling.
Just to get that input there.
Striking.
And you realize like, I'm a fish out of water. I've got no idea what I'm going to do. And this whole I'm just going to shoot a guy, like I'm on a campaign to crush the I'm just going to shoot a guy mindset.
Yeah. That was part of the old Dusty Buckle and Boot NRA guys.
The cargo pants guys.
Yeah, the cargo pants guys. They got out of the truck. Their belly hung over their gun. Yeah. And listen, we all like to eat. Listen, I'm Italian. I love cheese. Yeah, so, we love to eat. I get it. But you have to have some accountability. I'm not saying at 50 you have to be what you were at 30, but you don't have to be 60 or 70 at 50, you know,
At 50.
yeah, you have a couple gears, you know, I might only have 3 or 4 decent rounds left in me, but
Yeah.
it's still more than some.
Well,
I'm trying to talk myself.
And
up.
a lot of the predators are younger and faster.
Yeah, way better.
And they got crackhead skill, like they get superpowers. You know,
Fentanyl powers,
fentanyl superpowers,
bath
yeah,
salts.
bro. Yeah, bro. They're like, you know. So you need to make sure you understand at least how to defend a weapon. I saw a video the other day. I'm about to do a tactical protection review on it, where a law enforcement officer gets disarmed by a crippled guy in a wheelchair.
Yes, I saw that video.
It was like slow
I saw that
motion.
video. Now
You're like,
wait,
no.
full disclosure.
Yeah, okay.
Full disclosure. He did everything wrong. Full disclosure. He
did do
did. He
everything
didn't put his gun on. There's a lot of shit. He uncuffed the guy at the wrong time. There was
you got to see the complacency.
Yeah.
But still, bro, you ain't going to Valhalla, so to speak.
If you were on the job for 47 seconds, you knew he did everything wrong.
Yeah.
I have to just say that. Full disclosure.
But for me, it still boils down to the fact that a dude in a wheelchair got
Straight
you,
up
threw you
cripple.
on the ground, took your gun from you, and he had to beg for his life.
Another full disclosure:
Yeah,
the guy was not crispy. Okay, crispy would you'd
Crispy.
believe that he could fuck you up.
Yeah.
This guy was like, I'm talking in the gurney, like it was like
man.
that level.
And when he couldn't get away because he couldn't walk, he's starting to hobble, you know. And I'm like,
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at the situation, and neither is Byron. We're laughing at the craziness of it.
The wildness of it, man.
was
But if
wild.
you're doing this job as a profession, yo, you got to know every single day you lace your boots up, you're writing a blank check that you might have to cash, and you need to make sure you're at a level where you're more than formidable. And ain't no wheelchair dude.
Crispy should do a video. Omar, if you're out, I'll call him. He's gonna do a video.
Golly, man, that thing broke my heart. It happened in slow motion. I was dying the entire time. I was like, no.
Everything was wrong.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean,
But that's the complacency we're talking about. That's the complacency we see in the industry, and then that's the complacency I see amongst protectors. And you know, this is unacceptable.
Yeah, that guy wasn't Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah,
It was bad.
exactly.
It was bad. If you see the video, guys, it was going viral. It was a guy. It was a poor. He was probably a sheriff's department guy that was just doing transpos on the side.
he
like
was
he was
probably on
that
his way
guy.
out, like, you know.
50 years on the job.
Yep.
He had all that going for him.
Yep.
You know, the flashlight banging off his balls like a night watchman. He was that guy.
He cut a few corners because he'd done it
cut every
850
corner.
trillion times.
Every corner.
And the next thing you know, he's just like on the floor begging for his life because a crippled dude got the drop on him.
Absolutely. So
Get caught
listen,
slipping.
we got to wrap up. We're going long. I want to give you a chance. Shout out everything you want and all the sponsors, everything and all the brands you work with, and anybody you want, and where they can find you.
Yeah, man. So you can find me at my website, ByronRodgersMotivation.com. If you want to check out the Protector Symposiums, ProtectorSymposium.com. You know, my IG, Byron_Rodgers, is where a lot of my content hits.
Go give them some hits, guys.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, that's where a lot of my content hits first. I probably produce more free content than anyone else I'm really aware of in the game. So there's a lot of value there. YouTube, same thing. You can look me up, Byron Rodgers. But yeah, man, it's been an honor to be able to contribute. My mission is to help the world become a safer place by helping good people become.
It's an honor to have you.
dangerous.
I mean, you like it in here? You like the experience?
This is awesome, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I came in. It took me like 20 minutes to take in everything in this room. I'm still still taking it all.
Right. It's pretty wild.
This is outstanding. Thanks
Trying
so
to build
much.
something, man. Trying to build something.
You're building something, man. It's
Trying
an
to
honor.
build something.
And the conversation's been great.
No, and I love having you, and hopefully we'll have some fun today. I
yeah.
appreciate everybody. I want to shout out a few of the sponsors: Galotech, Sig Sauer, Right On Optics, Blackwater Ammunition, Volquartz and Firearms, Pulsar Thermal Imaging Technology, Enforce Weapon Lights. I know I missed some. There's a complete list down below. I know everybody in the chat, Eric, Daryl's been sharing all Byron's links as well as mine. Appreciate you guys. I'll put some of Byron's links down below. Guys, if you don't sign up for the Protector Symposium, at least go check out his content. Go give him a thumbs up on some stuff. Go surf some of Byron's stuff. He's got some awesome content out there, and I think he's doing it right. So I appreciate him, and we're going to be out.